So today we are going to be talking about book recommendations I'm going to give to you guys that you have never heard of. Now, I am going to say that I believe it'll be about at a 70% chance that you will have either never heard of these books before or have also never read them. 70 is pretty good. That's good. You know, if you're going into surgery and you're like, oh, 70% chance you'll wake up, you take those odds, right? I take those odds, I think. I don't know. Anyways, so first book I want to bring up is My Sister's Keeper. If you guys are subscribed to me or watch any of my other videos, you will know that I never shut up about this book, and I won't ever do that because this is a masterpiece of literature. I genuinely believe this. I believe if you love to read literary fiction and you're into reading stories about real life and things that can actually happen to you, this is a book that you will fucking adore. It is so crazy. It is so crazy. So this is by Jodi Picoult. So this is a book that I gave 5 stars. Let me just preface that. And so in this book, we are following our main character. This has been a while. Her name is Anna. Okay, so Anna has an older sister, and her older sister is Kate. Now, Kate was born with a rare cancer disease, right? And so the only way that the doctors said that Kate could be cured was if they found a blood donor, like blood relative, that they could get their bone marrow and put into Kate to hopefully fix and cure her. And so the parents tried the bone marrow with like themselves, and they tried with their older son. None of that worked. So then they decided that they were going to have another child, purposely get pregnant for the sole purpose to use that child, cross their fingers and use that child, and hopefully that child would be a perfect match for Kate so they could use that baby's bone marrow to save Kate. And so that's Anna. So Anna in this book is 13 years old, and for her entire life she has kind of been Kate's person that they go to for parts. So if Kate's getting sicker, they bring Anna in to get a surgery or to get blood work done or to get bone marrow taken, and Anna never feels like her life is her own. And so Anna makes a very drastic decision that she is going to try and emancipate herself from her parents so that she will have full autonomy over her own medical decisions. Because before that, you know, there's been instances where Anna has not wanted a certain surgery or has not wanted to be poked and prodded, but had no control over that. And I think it's very sick. I think it's truly sick for a doctor, for a medical professional to do any kind of procedure, any kind of, test harmful, hurtful procedures to a child who doesn't fucking want that shit and who doesn't need it. I understand as a parent, you're trying to save your older child. I understand that, but you can't just fucking disregard your other child for that shit. That's not how it works. Okay, it really isn't. I would call that abuse. I would call that horrific parenting. I would say you don't deserve that child. I would say you don't deserve any children. That's what I would say. And so this whole book is kind of the exploration of Anna trying to emancipate from her parents, literally saying over and over every single chapter that she loves her sister, but at the end of the day, she's not trying to spend her whole life in the hospital trying to save her sister. So she doesn't want to help her sister anymore. It's never been her decision to help her. She's been forced into that shit. So she's like, hey, I'm done giving you shit. Love you, babes, but I'm done. And it's so good. It's so fucking good, y'all. 10 out of 10. 5-star. This is the best like standalone book I've ever read in my entire life. And I genuinely don't know if anything could ever top how masterful this is. If you have ever watched this movie, I apologize, because that movie was ass and they changed a lot of shit. So don't ever watch the movie. It's terrible. But this, y'all, buy this immediately. I want to buy like a better copy because I bought this like secondhand. and it's super like, it's an ugly cover. So I definitely would love to buy a better cover, but that's my first one that I would like to put out there into the ether. Second one I want to talk about is a book I do not own that I read this year, and that is called The Art of Racing in the Rain by Garth Stein. Now this book is also got turned into a movie, so I feel like, you know, watch out. These are like really good, you know, top tier books to be changed into movies. But this is a beautiful, amazing book that I also gave 5 stars. Our main character is actually a dog. His name is Enzo, and we are following our story through his eyes, through his narration, and he is a part of this family that he loves and that loves him, and we're kind of just following his life story, and as he kind of goes through life, it's so heartbreaking, it's so raw and beautiful, and it's honestly crazy how this author was able to capitulate the idea of what a dog would feel and the idea of what a dog goes through and what a dog knows that potentially the humans wouldn't know. For example, we all know that dogs have an amazing sense of smell, and that there are certain dogs that their sole purpose, like they're trained to like search out certain diseases. And so there are so many instances in the story where Enzo just knows information that the humans don't know, and that we as readers have to just wait for the other shoe to drop. We have to just wait for that to happen. It's so amazing. It's so beautiful. That first chapter of that book, you are hooked. That first 2 pages, you are hooked. You do not want to close that book. So when I tell you to at least get the sample, please get that sample. Get the sample on literally any book place where you guys buy your books. Go get that sample online. It is fucking amazing. You will not be disappointed. Now I will say, after I finished reading this book, I tried to get my friends to read it. I have 2 friends that are obsessed with dogs, and I thought, oh my god, they would love this. But then you have to think deeply and critically and realize this is a dog book. So they were like, no, I can't read this. It's going to be way too fucking sad. And I completely understand that, because I am not an animal person. I'm not a dog person. So whenever like dog movies come out, I don't ever care about them. I don't ever go watch them. I'm not ever interested in them. So to be able to be this closely tied to a book about a dog when I don't even like dogs was very, very crazy. And it speaks volumes to the writing, and it speaks volumes to the storytelling that this author was able to put into this book. Okay, the next book I want to talk about is a book I read a very, very long time ago. This was actually elementary school, guys. So this would be a perfect book for someone who wants to read middle grade book, or maybe like a younger audience book, or just someone who loves to read a really good like fantasy YA fiction middle grade kind of book. So this book is called Tuck Everlasting by Natalie Babbitt. This is also a movie. Oh my god! Do I need to change this YouTube title to like books to movies that you need to fucking read? Okay, anyways, this is called Tuck Everlasting. I gave this book 4 stars. I read it, like I said, in elementary school, and this book was just so like mind-bending. It was the first book that I had like read that was super introspective, and like as a child that was so interesting to like read a book that thought critically about life, that was like made to be read by a middle schooler. Was very interesting. So in this book we are following a girl, and she meets this boy, and they start falling in love. They are also like young, like high school age, or was it actually, no, they're not high schoolers. Whoa, I think they're also like middle schoolers. So I guess they're also like super, super young, and they start falling in love with each other. And the boy tells the girl a secret, and he tells her that he and his entire family do not age. They had, you know, found this magic potion that they drank a long time ago, and they genuinely do not age. They don't get old, they don't die. And we're just following this beautiful love story with 2 children. It's great. And kind of throughout the book, it's almost like you're kind of waiting on bated breath. Like, is she going to want to accept that life that he is in? You know, is she going to want to essentially give up her family and go live with his entire family that doesn't age? Because you have to think about the effects of not aging. You're going to have to move place to place very, very frequently, so people don't realize you're not aging. You're not going to be able to have those close relationships with people without telling them your secret, and that's dangerous, so you're not going to do that. And so it was one of those things where, like, this whole movie, she is trying to consider the pros and cons on drinking this potion and living with this boy and being with him forever. And it's such a beautiful, sweet, young love story that I think will leave you thinking. And I think it's so beautiful, and I loved it when I read it as a child, and it was really good. Okay, so the next book I have, this book is called Dread Nation. So this is actually a duology. I read this book a couple years ago. I gave it 4 stars. So I do think you guys would absolutely love this. This is by Justina Ireland. So in this book, we are kind of combining a lot of different genres. Like, we have YA, historical fiction, horror, fantasy, and we're kind of combining, this is like the Civil War, right? So it says Kate McKean was born 2 days before the dead began to walk the battlefields of Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, derailing the war between the states and changing the nation forever. So this book is actually such a weird, like, mind-bending historical change. So imagine that, like, during the Civil War, when, you know, a battle was being fought and as soldiers died, instead of them staying dead, they began waking up as zombies. And that's kind of the world that we are being thrust into. And so we are following our main character. Her name is Jane McKean. And the super weird, like, semantics of this book kind of consists of, we have these giant schools where the gist of it is, people come to plantations and they take black children. They find black children wherever they are. They find them, they take them from their homes, and they put them in these schools. And in these schools, they are taught to fight the dead. So they are literally trained to be assassins and are trained to, like, kill zombies. And so when they are finally finished with their skills and with their learning, they are sold to white families, specifically white wives, and they almost become like their shadows. You know, they're always with them. So, like, a white lady might come to the school and be like, hey, I need to buy one. And so one of them will get, like, sold to her, and they'll become, like, her personal bodyguard against zombies. And it's such a freaking crazy idea, and it's done so well. It's done so well, guys. So if you love historical fiction, love horror, zombies, you gotta pick this up, because it's such a rare find. You know, you're not gonna find this kind of book everywhere. So if you're interested in those concepts, in those genres, definitely pick her up, because she was a really, really good one. Okay, next book I want to talk about is one book that I believe is one of my prettiest books I own. I just think it's so unique and very gorgeous, and it kind of feels like this should be framed on my wall somewhere. But this book is called Lily de Jong. This is by Janet Benton. Look how beautiful that is. Oh, it's stunning. Truly stunning. So this book I read maybe like 2 years ago. I gave it 4 stars. So the genres for this book are historical fiction. This is like adult, and this is also like literary fiction. So we are following our main character, Lily, and we're in the time frame of the 1880s. And so she's in Philadelphia and she falls pregnant. Now you can only imagine the stigma of being a teenage girl who's also pregnant with like no prospects and no help during that time. Not a very good time to be in that situation. And so she falls pregnant and she goes into this institution for unwed mothers. And it's kind of like a school where a bunch of teenagers who are pregnant are at, and they kind of are there and they do like a little bit of manual labor, a little bit of schooling while they're pregnant, and then they have their babies, and usually their babies get put up for adoption, and then they of course are forced to leave that school and go figure out their lives. And that's kind of the situation that she is put into. And so, you know, we're reading this book, and Lily is finally ready to give birth. She gives birth. She has a beautiful, beautiful daughter. And she actually decides last minute that she is not going to give her daughter up for adoption. And so this is kind of her story and her struggles, a lot of struggles of how she was able to make it work for her, how she was able to survive and keep her daughter alive and thriving and loved while being a teenager with no skills and no prospects and nowhere to live and no home with a newborn child. And it's just a lot. And she gets into a lot of shit, a lot of bad shit happens. And it's fucked up. But it was a very, very, like it was a very breathtaking read of a different perspective of a person's life and how downhill it can go and how much hope a person can have when you truly don't think they should have any. And it was beautiful. It was beautiful. So definitely recommend this book right here. But guys, those are going to be my book recommendations of books that I truly don't believe you've ever heard of, or books you have not read. Also, about half of them were movies. So that's very, very interesting. But I do believe that you guys would love these books because I did. And they were just amazingly well written. And yeah, they knocked it out of the park. What can I say? All right, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.